By the way, before we get started, I have an important question for you. Why do all twin flame readings and teachings focus on the divine feminine? I mean, at first, I thought it was just the way of the journey, but years of research and fact-checking has revealed there's a lot of nonsense going around as a global fix to our collective light work. I'm telling you, there's a spurious correlation being made, friends. The truth is, divine feminines are not the only ones on the journey, nor are they always the first ones to awaken. That's who we should be talking to when we help twin flames ascend. The first awakened. The truth is, if you are a first awakened twin flame and you happen to be a divine feminine counterpart, then your connection to the intuitive and your feminine leanings would only naturally bring you to intuitive practices like tarot and astrology. Divine masculines are actually the more physically grounded or 3D focused counterpart. So when they awaken first, it's in their own way rather than the exact way a first awakened divine feminine would do things. Okay, I know that's not why you're here. So let's examine the ascension pathway that every first awakened counterpart will travel on their way to reunion. First, we have the early separation energies. There's a real reason why twin flames separate, and separation is not a punishment, it's a portal. But for many twin flames, this portal becomes a painful cycle of chasing, withdrawal, confusion, and emotional relapse. It's the shock of awakening. Like, hey, welcome. If you found yourself on this path overwhelmed by the pain of separation and unsure whether this is a miracle or a curse, you're not broken. You're awakening. The early stages of the twin flame journey are some of the most misunderstood and emotionally intense. For many divine feminines, this phase is full of obsession, anxiety, spiritual overwhelm, and desperation for answers. It's also the stage most easily hijacked by misinformation, false gurus, and spiritual bypassing. What's really happening? This is not romantic confusion. It's a soul crack, exposing you to the divine blueprint you've forgotten but never lost. You're not crazy. You're being initiated. Let's talk about the normalization of pain when toxic dynamics masquerade as devotion. The phases of separation we experience are not exclusive to the twin flame path. They echo through countless human relationships across all walks of life. But what makes them particularly tricky within the spiritual context is the mythic narrative wrapped around them. We need to remember, just because a dynamic is a part of a spiritual journey does not mean it should be accepted unconditionally. True twin flame love is not about tolerating dysfunction. It's about alchemizing it. In the early years of my divine mission with twin flames, I saw the need for connection, for collective understanding, for deep reality checks, not to burst bubbles, but to fan the flame of the refining fire and a functional divine path out of the dark night. I knew when I started my journey, when I started my ministry, and when I started my own path of ascension alongside my partner, that the energy signature of early separation could not be cleared or transmuted without the proper tools to help the first awakened twin answer the questions of where is my person and what is this journey? Friend, you are not wrong for wanting them, but your soul also wants you. And the path to reunion, if it is to be sacred, must begin there. This phase is not about forgetting them, it's about remembering yourself. That's the version of you this journey came to activate. That's the version your union requires. Okay, so what about those late separation and pseudo-union energies? Well, those are all a part of energy signature 2. And it's at this point on the journey where you have to decide between your soul mission and the obsession trap. What if the person you're chasing was never the destination, but the awakener of your divine path? In the mid-stage of the journey, many divine feminines get stuck in what we call the obsession trap, a pattern of spiritual codependency disguised as romantic devotion. Our teaching on energy signature 2 reveals how to shift from looping thoughts about union to aligned actions towards your soul mission. We examine the difference between emotional fixation and energetic focus, and you'll learn how your longing is actually a spiritual compass pointing you toward purpose, not pain. We talk about things that other people don't want to talk about, like how spiritual obsession blocks your gifts, how to reclaim your energy from false twins and false paths, discovering your true spiritual archetype, because, by the way, there's 4 types of twin flames. We also talk about the difference between surrender and bypassing, and aligning devotion with discernment. The painful reality of this phase is that for many twin flames, this is where the journey gets really heavy. Not because of fresh heartbreak, but because of spiritual fatigue. You've already done the meditations, you've tried the surrender, you've released and returned, chased and retreated. Still, union feels out of reach, and the deeper purpose of it all remains a mystery. This is often where people fall out of alignment, not because they failed, but because they've outgrown the version of the journey they were sold. You'll really know you're in the thick of Energy Signature 2 when you start feeling emotionally disconnected from the journey itself, from the connection itself, when you start to become even more suspicious of online gurus and all the algorithms that keep you looping. You'll feel confused about your next steps, even as you spiritually awaken. You might even be discouraged or ashamed over how long you've waited and invested. And you start to get a little bit more curious instead of frustrated about divine timing, soul contracts, karmic roles, and false twins. Everybody always wants to know, what is pseudo-union? Pseudo-union is often misunderstood, primarily because it feels so close to the real thing. There may be communication, there may be physical connection, there may even be declarations of love, but underneath it all, the spiritual blueprint of the union has not been fully activated because the soul level integration hasn't occurred. It's not false, it's not without value, but it is incomplete. It's a holding pattern, a divine pause, where both counterparts are close enough to taste union, yet far enough from self-recognition to truly embody it. In these phases of separation, the missing link is spiritual integration. And with pseudo-union, the heart may be engaged, but the third eye and crown remain underdeveloped in terms of union consciousness. There may be love, but without the deep remembrance of divine origin and shared mission. As my ministry expanded globally, I noticed the collective expansion within my own tribe. The questions typically begin to shift as early separation energies were shed, revealing late separation energies and a whole new perspective. We stop thinking small, we start seeing the world for what it really is, and then we look at our counterpart and realize there is so much more to this story. It is at this point that every first awakened partner is ready to answer the questions, why am I here and what am I meant to do? Questions they observed rolling by in their mind for years, but only now have come to understand the truth is there. The answers do exist. First awakened twins in Energy Signature 2 need the right tools because they're probably experiencing spiritual burnout, identity crisis, doubts about their twin flame's authenticity, emotional detachment from the journey, and a deep desire to stop obsessing and start understanding. The Ascension Pathway tools meet you at that exact crossroads. They don't just give you hope, they give you a framework, a language, and a map. Because let's be honest, you don't need another tarot reading right now. You need a new paradigm. The answers you've been waiting for aren't coming from them. They're coming from within you. And these resources were designed to help you remember what you already know. You are the prophecy. You are the teacher and the student. You are not just someone waiting for love. You are someone love has been waiting on. Start there and watch everything change. But what about reconciliation and reunion energies? Well, that can be found in Energy Signature 3. High-level divine feminines are focused on how to align with union energy, not just wait for it. They're preparing. This final segment of the journey is about realignment, stepping fully into our union frequency, regardless of what our counterpart is doing. We explore the difference between energetic union and physical reunion, and why your soul path must come first. Because this is a stage where you stop asking, when will they come back? And start asking, what am I building for us to come home to? A lot of twin flames ask me, what is reconciliation? Reconciliation occurs when twin flames come back together to repair, explore, or redefine their connection. It's often marked by emotional honesty, vulnerability, and a strong desire to make things right. However, reconciliation is not always built to last because it's not yet rooted in shared mission or divine alignment. It may still carry unhealed emotional wounding, latent attachment patterns, conditional love or expectations, and avoidance of individual work. It can feel blissful, especially after a painful separation, but reconciliation still operates within the dualistic framework of right versus wrong, or mine versus yours, or together versus apart. It is love returning to the table, but not yet ready to be served to the world. But what about union? What is blissful union? Well, reunion is not just the return of love, it's the activation of love's higher function. It's when both counterparts have completed enough inner union to step into shared service, not just shared affection. And this distinction matters. Many divine feminines believe they've reunited when what they've actually entered is reconciliation. And there is hope, there's contact, passion, even cohabitation. But without a shared purpose, the energy will stagnate. And in that stagnation, they may stop growing spiritually, delay their soul mission, or stay stuck in loops of emotional highs and lows. It's here we must realize that reconciliation is the invitation, but reunion is the initiation. By the time I was in my own state of blissful union, I noticed it was not at all what I expected. It was nothing like all the guides and gurus had told me, in good and bad ways. And there was something missing, something no one ever told me I would need. So I created it, and I finally understood the questions my soul had been asking back when I was in Energy Signature 2, but didn't quite believe they could be answered. I had been divinely ordained for such a time as this to bring reunion out of the 5D into the physical world and to show other people the exact blueprint. Watching thousands of clients answer the questions, what are my gifts and how can I be of service to divine, completely altered my spiritual DNA. I thought I knew the path to reunion. I thought I understood what was happening, but it wasn't until I saw the energy unfold the exact same way, time and time again, in all my reconciled clients. It wasn't until the emails and the calls began rolling in that I realized the secret road to the Temple of Divine. The Ascension Pathway revealed itself to me, unfurling slowly until I could see it for what it truly was. And the weirdest part of it all, the puzzle pieces were there all along, in the root of divine guidance I'd been channeling to save lives around the world. Reunion was never meant to be the final step, and someone out there wanted us to reach for the sky instead of shooting for the moon. But imagine you're in a classroom, you're surrounded by your fellow students, and a teacher walks through the door. They say, "Everyone, let's count to 3. Ready?" And you, looking around, think, all right, so I don't know what we're doing here, but everybody else probably does, so I'm gonna just join in. And so you do it. 1, 2, 3. And then the teacher walks out the door. Like, what the? That is exactly what all the guides and gurus have been doing to all of us. There's something missing. The boom. 1, 2, 3, boom. Energy Signature 1 is the first step on the evolutionary path, the Ascension Pathway. We're in that separation energy, and the goal is inner union. And then as we enter Energy Signature 2, we begin to reconnect with our higher self and sometimes even our person in the physical. Maybe reconciliation happens. And the thing that everyone's been shooting for, reunion, is just mission alignment. It's not the boom. Divine partnership and the sacred co-creation, that's the boom. That's the energy. That's the thing that no one told you were really fighting for. That's why not every reconciliation leads to reunion, but every true union is preceded by reconciliation. When we shift from union chasing to mission living, everything changes. When divine feminines arrive in Energy Signature 3, they're no longer just healing, they're building. They're not just loving, they're leading. This phase is about what you do after the pain. And when you've come back to yourself, the divine is asking, now that you remembered who you are, what will you do with it? If you're confused about your current energy signature, or if you're a first awakened twin fully aware you've been sliding back and forth because you aren't exactly sure how to anchor yourself in the blissful peace of reunion vibrations, the Sacred Partner Ascension Pathway is everything you never knew you needed and more. This self-guided healing program is devoted to guiding the divine feminine and our more rare first awakened divine masculines out of the fog and into the light. This pathway will guide you from pain to purpose, from separation to service, from confusion to co-creation. This is not just a course, it's a soul-coded map for the journey of a lifetime. All brought to you by a real, reunited twin flame, tested and tried by thousands of first awakened twins in the global collective, and gathered during one of the most prolific reunion seasons in our generation's history. If you're tired of asking, is reunion here yet? Will they come back now that I've surrendered? Am I finished with all this work? This pathway can help you answer questions like, how do I honor what I've become? How can I serve the light with integrity? And what can we build with or without physical union? Because you didn't come here just to find your person. You came here to become your person, to reclaim your voice, to walk in your purpose, to prepare the garden for when your counterpart is finally ready to plant with you. And until then, you'll build something sacred, eternal, and wildly divine, because that's who you are now. That's the light you carry. Let's get to work. Union energy is not about arrival. It's about assignment. The divine feminine who shoots for divine co-creation with divine will land in reunion energies. It's just the way it works. But you have to believe that. You have to believe that you'll reach that stage, because the divine feminine who reaches this stage is not the same one who cried on the floor during stage 1. They're a keeper of prophecy, a weaver of legacies, an ambassador of a higher order. High vibrational divine feminines carry the codes of creation, the language of remembrance, and the authority to plant what will feed the collective soul. And whether her counterpart joins her or not, she is home. If you're interested in learning more, you can get our 3-part separation masterclass as a free bonus with the full 7-phase Sacred Partner Ascension Pathway. Or you can access the teaching as a part of the New Wave Prophecy Twin Flame Searching for Truth series. This video found you for a reason. If you need twin flame healing, this pathway is the way to go. Because the twin flame journey is not a linear love story. It's a soul initiation. It breaks you open, calls you deeper, and refines you through every energetic phase of connection, separation, awakening, and alignment. Most spiritual paths don't speak the language of the twin flame experience, but Ascent does. This program doesn't just offer tools, it offers spiritual scaffolding, a path designed for those walking through divine fire. Whether you're asking, where is my person, or what am I here to do for the divine? This step-by-step, self-guided journey holds space for your emotional healing, energetic alignment, and spiritual empowerment. The twin flame experience was never just about love. It was about becoming. And this bundle is your spiritual support system, designed to guide you into remembrance, alignment, and mission. The pathway is open. Will you walk it?